Half a day, Flosstube. This is Lynette at Homesteading on the Homefront coming to you for my 7th episode of Flosstube. The date is Friday, December 1st, 2017. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I am a military spouse currently living in Guam. Half a day is the local greeting, meaning hello, how are you? Very similar to aloha in Hawaii. So I always say half a day at the beginning of my videos, and I know a lot of you are like, what is she saying? It's just a friendly greeting. I hope everyone in the US watching had a great Thanksgiving. We had a wonderful meal with friends, got some stitchy time in, which I'll get into later, and enjoyed some relaxation. I hope you did the same. I think that I have solved the problem of my camera shutting off on me after 15 to 20 minutes. It automatically does that when the file gets to a certain size. So my solution was to slightly decrease the quality of video in hopes that I could increase the amount of time that it would go. So we'll see how this goes. Hopefully it allows me to chat without feeling rushed, without having the terrible video quality of my first couple of videos that I was recording on the computer. Exciting news. I hit 500 subscribers. I'm so excited about that. So you might want to watch till the end for an announcement regarding that. Wink, wink. But you're here for the stitching, so let's talk about stitching. I'm going to show you a couple of old finishes first. I was sorting through my bin in the craft room and came across these pieces and thought I would share them with you. I purchased both of these charts at the cross stitch store in Williamsburg. I know I'm going to say it wrong. I think it's called House Tyrol. I think it's a Scottish word. I don't know. It's the only stitching store in Williamsburg. So in May of 2015, it was right before we moved here to Guam, the very first Prim Stitcher Society retreat was happening in Williamsburg. And my friend Donna Ray and Joan and I drove up to go to the vendor fair so that we could take advantage of the sales that were happening there. And on the way up, we stopped at the cross stitch store, and I saw these two charts there, and I purchased them. Also purchased several things at the vendor fair, but I will show you those in another video. The first one is the Proverbs 31 sampler. All it says is by Karen, Primitive Needleworks. I have since seen this on Etsy, so if I remember, I will link to it below. And oh, look at this. Can you see this? That's the Williamsburg shop. I hope that's coming out for you. It looks backwards to me. So I love Proverbs 31 for various reasons. I know a lot of women are kind of put off by it and feel intimidated by Proverbs 31. I don't. So if I see something with Proverbs 31 on it, I stitch it. And so this was no different. I used a slightly darker fabric. She charted it on almost on an off-white. I have no idea what fabric I used. And I'm sorry for the glare. I usually try to take these out of the glass, but this glass was not coming out without snapping. So that's that. I stitched this in 2015. So it must have been one of the first things that I stitched when we got here to Guam. And of course the frame is a thrift store frame. Speaking of thrift stores, I was driving the other day and I noticed a sign for Salvation Army thrift store. So I went, and it was actually for a thrift store on Guam. It was actually pretty good. So I'm kind of excited about that because there's only been one other thrift store on the island out in town, and it has been closed for a while because they're moving locations. So yes, I was thrilled to find a new thrift store option for me. This second sampler you've all seen, because I know people have showed this, is the 13 Colonies from Little House Needleworks. And I saw this hanging at the stitch store, and I knew I needed to make it. And if you know me, you know that I'm not going to stitch it unless it either fits in a standard size frame or I can easily make it fit into a standard size frame. So I knew I was going to have to tweak this one, and I knew immediately how I was going to tweak it. So I'm going to show it to you with my changes. I want to preface those changes by saying that there is no offense intended to our Georgia stitchers or Virginia stitchers or Delaware stitchers or New York stitchers or South Carolina or Maryland stitchers or New Jersey or North Carolina stitchers. I don't mean to offend you with my changes. But this was also one of the first pieces I stitched here in Guam. It's not finally finished. I need to frame it. But in order to make it fit into a standard size frame, I had to get rid of some of the writing. And being a New England girl who was very much homesick for New England, I changed it so that instead of the 13 Colonies, it is simply a New England sampler. I love the way this came out. I cannot wait to frame it. I've been waiting to find the perfect frame. I think it's got to be an 11 by 14. I don't think a 10 by 13 will work. And it's very hard to find frames here on island that A, are nice, B, that don't break the bank, and C, that would be good for needlework. So I'm thinking this is going to have to wait to be framed until we get back to the mainland, but I absolutely love the way it turned out. I stitched it all in DMC, as I normally do. I can remember in college, my best friend had stitched the Ginger and Spice New England sampler for her mother-in-law, which you've all seen that sampler too, because that's the one that Pam has hanging in back of her on the wall when she does her video of Pam and Steph. But I saw this one and I knew that this was a little more my style, so it came home with me and I love it. So there's New England sampler, aka 13 Colonies. I do have some more recent finishes that I got done this past week, so let's show those to you. The first one is a freebie from Plum Street. If you watched my very last video, I believe it was called like video number 6 part C or something like that, part 3, I don't know. I had done a short kind of tutorial or how-to on how to get the variegated look with DMC threads. And so I had started one of the trees. And so I finished this. I finished this the night before Thanksgiving. And as you can see, I did the variegated look in the lettering too, but this is all just simply DMC. So if you're curious as to how I did the variegation without using fancy floss, go back and check out that video because it'll tell you how to do that. I should say I will link this down below. I changed the wording. I believe Paulette had charted it to say Happy Birthday, Lord. But I changed it because in years past, she's also offered several other freebies. There's Long Lay the World, and then The Soul Felt Its Worth, and these are all available on her website. And so I wanted to kind of stay with the Oh Holy Night theme. It turns out that I think this one is a little too big to be finished as a pillow, so it might not end up in the same bowl with the others. This one might get framed or, I don't know, Priscilla'd somehow. Don't you love how that's a verb now? But that's why I changed the wording, just to kind of keep with the theme. And I used mostly the same colors as these two as well. The only thing I changed was the gold color, and I don't know why I did that. But otherwise, they're all in the same color family. So that was finish number 1. Finish number 2 is out of the Just Cross Stitch 2004 issue. I wanted to do this guy right here to match the snowman and the cardinal that I'd shown in previous videos. So he is all stitched as well. I left out the Happy Holidays because he was kind of big enough as it was. So I don't know how I'm going to finish him up yet, but he came out pretty cute. So yeah, those are my finishes for the week. As I mentioned, I finished up the Happy Birthday Lord, or O Night Divine, the night before Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving, of course, was crazy. I was cooking and we had company, so I didn't get a chance to stitch. And so Friday morning, I was still in my pajamas and I hear a honking outside. And so I said to my husband, I think that's the mailman. Will you go see if we have a package, because I'm not dressed? And sure enough, it was the mailman, and he delivered a package from 123 Stitch. And so in that package was 2 charts that I really wanted to get started on. So I started both of them that day. The first you've seen because everyone in the world is doing it, the tree lot. And so this one's coming along really nicely. Almost done, just gotta do the sign here and finish up some of the truck. But that one I stitched on almost 2 days straight, I think. And then the next one that came, nobody has done this one that I have seen on Flosstube, but it's from Silver Creek Samplers, and it's called Take It Easy. And I'm not stitching this for myself because I'm not a beach person. I live on a tropical island. I'm not a beach person. But a friend of mine is, and I thought she might be able to use some encouragement because she's going through a little rough patch. So I am stitching this for her. I'm hoping to get it done and off before Christmas, although it's not really a Christmas gift. So this is what I have so far. And again, I'm stitching it all in DMC, which made for some challenges because in the original chart, the blue of the sea and the border here is in a variegated. And so I couldn't find an exact DMC color that I liked, and so I decided to do my own variegation trick again. And I'm actually really pleased with the way that the blue is coming out. So hopefully she will be finished soon. I think I'm going to do this one into a flat fold. I had considered just like finishing it into like a 6-inch square so she could find her own frame for it, because there's no way I'm finding a 6-inch frame on this island. But then I was like, if I do a flat fold finish, then you know, she can hang it or whatever. She doesn't need to put it on the wall. It can go wherever. I had also considered making it into a Christmas ornament, but like it's huge. I mean, so there's no way this would hang nicely on a tree. Besides, I think she might want to have it out all year round. So hopefully that'll be done and mailed by the next time I make a video. So Instagram, I'll post a picture on Instagram before I mail it off, I think. I'm still not in love with Instagram, you guys. And I know it's because I don't have the technology to like take advantage of it. I have a very dumb phone here on the island because you have to get one of the local providers. You can't use any of the plans that you had in the US. And so I was like, I don't need a fancy phone. So maybe once we get back to the States and I get myself a real phone, then I'll be able to take full advantage of Instagram. But right now I have to use my Kindle, and I feel terrible because I'm scrolling through and there are these gorgeous pictures, and then like I post one from Kindle with the terrible quality of that camera and my pictures look terrible, but it is what it is. I'm trying. Bear with me. Okay, so those were my current projects. I also have a couple of FFOs to show you. The first one is the Mill Hill Santa. I think I had shown you this before. I got him all beaded up. And we don't have sticky felt anywhere on the island, but I did walk into it's the hardware store, but it's also where the craft stuff is on island. So I walked into the craft supply section of the hardware store, and they had sticky foam. So I was thrilled because I had no idea what I was going to find and be able to use to back this thing. So Santa with his chicken and basket of eggs is done, which made me happy. I didn't love beading, I have to say. Not my favorite thing in the world. But I love the way he came out. And I love the way that he sparkles at night when he's on the tree and the tree lights are shimmering. So I thought at first that it was going to be my first and last Mill Hill, but maybe I just need a small break and I'll do another Mill Hill at some other time. We'll see. And then the final FFOs, you've seen these before while I was stitching them, but I finished them up. This is Peace and Plenty. They were in, one of them was in the August 2016, maybe, just cross stitch magazine, and the other was in the Christmas ornament edition of that year. I think it was 2016. But anyway, these are Kathy Haberman hands-on design, and they're backed in red wool. I think I've mentioned before that I have a ton of wool in my stash, and so basically everything is backed with wool. The trim I actually got recently at a fabric store on island. It's not a big store, and I had been there several times before, but literally I would set like 5 feet inside and have to turn around because I was so overwhelmed. There are bolts and bolts and bolts of fabric, but they're not displayed. They're like piled literally like floor to ceiling. So if you want something, you can't just like pull it out and touch it and feel it, like it might be 10 feet off the ground. So last week, a friend and I went up and I said, look, I'm going to suck it up. I'm going to walk around the whole store just to see what they have, see what kind of cotton they have in particular, because that's what I used to sew with. Well, it turns out they didn't have much cotton at all. The material that they had, I don't know what it was. I got the impression that it was for like the Asian gowns and maybe dance costumes, very much not a quilting store. But right next to the table up front where they were selling underwear, true story, not unusual in Guam, they had trims. And so I looked through all of the trims and I bought some that I thought would be good for Christmas ornaments. And then I found some zippers, and they were $1 a piece, which was a bargain. So I stocked up on zippers so I could make more project bags. So anyway, I got the trims home. I put them in my box of Christmas ornament trims and didn't think about it anymore until I came to these. And I didn't have anything in my stash that matched this red because it's kind of a dark maroon red, not a real red. Even like the chenille that I'm using, this was from Donna Ray. It's not an exact match, so I didn't want to use a ton of it all the way around. And I happened to pull this silver white stuff out, and it looked great. and that came from the fabric store. So I had just enough to finish 2 ornaments with. I think I had maybe an inch extra. So I think I'm going to go back and get some more of that because I do like that trim. I'm thrilled with the way these came out. They were stitched on gunstock or gunmetal. Hated stitching them. They gave me fits and starts and had to frog but I love the way that they came out. So there are those. So as far as plans go, I need to finish the tree lot. I need to finish the Silver Creek project. Those aren't going to take me long at all. So I'm hoping to get them done this weekend. I need to work on my Nantucket Girl sampler. I want to get that done by the end of the year. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to work on Christmas stuff until December 15th. That is the last Friday that the kids have school. They are off the whole week before Christmas. They're off the week between Christmas and New Year's. They don't go back to school until January 3rd. So I'm going to stitch on Christmas ornaments until they get out of school, and then I think I'm going to switch over to Nantucket Girl and kind of really concentrate on that for the first week that they're off of school, and hopefully I can get it done. Donna Ray and I are starting on the Alcott sampler on December 26th, so I'm hoping for a good week's worth of work on Nantucket Girl and see what happens with that, if I can finish it this year or not. And then I found these. I've shown you this before. I found this pattern in a really old ornament book at the thrift store, and I loved Mrs. Claus, so I made her, but I didn't like how Mr. Claus looked. Well, surfing around the internet the other night, I found this. This is a freebie from Brooks Books on her website, and I loved Santa and Mrs. Claus, so I'm going to need to stitch both of them. I don't know if I will stitch them on red. In fact, I know I'm not going to stitch them on red because I don't have any red in my supply, and I'm not going to order any red. So I don't know what I'm going to stitch them on, but I'm going to stitch them. I don't know if it's going to be this year or what, but I just loved them. If I remember, I will post the link to that chart below as well. And then I was just watching Nicole at Buckeye Stitcher today, and she did a kind of flip through of this one, which we both ordered off of the Hirschner site because it was like $5. So I'm not going to do a flip through of this one. If you're interested, go watch her most recent video. She posted it yesterday or today or something. But I also got this one, and it was also $4.99, I think. This is a Barbara Anna design on the front, for those of you who are interested in that. I'll show you some of the other projects if you're interested. I don't know if it's still in stock on the Hirschner's website. Fun fact, it took over a month for me to get my order in because it's not Hirschner's fault. It's just the way things are when you ship to Guam. Parcel rate, they come on the slow boat, and it literally is a boat from California, and it goes to Hawaii, and then it comes to Guam, so it takes a while. This is a Sue Hillis design, Visions of Sugar Plums, and then we've got some Wise Men. Totally not my style, but somebody might like them. There was an owl. Where'd that? Oh, here's that. Happy Owladays. I thought somebody might like that. And then I was thrilled because I had no idea what was in these books when I ordered them. I was just like, for $5, there's got to be one project in there that I want to stitch, and that's my money's worth. So I was thrilled when I came across Scandinavian Christmas. So there's some ornaments here. There's a gorgeous sampler. might just make these as individual ornaments. This looks more Quaker to me than Scandinavian, but there's the angel and the Dala horse stocking. I already have some Dalas in my project stash, so what's another couple more? This is an Ursula Michael design, obviously no longer in the Scandinavian Christmas section. Some penguin ornaments. This one is an Amy Buchan, I think. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Some more ornaments. And then some winter woodland ornaments. Is that a hedgehog or a porcupine? It must be a porcupine. And then this guy. He's so cute, but I've never heard of Pumbleneck. Does anyone know who Pumbleneck is? But look at that fox. I thought Danielle might like that. He's cute, but I don't know that I would want to stitch him and hang him on my wall. I might have to go Google Pumbleneck. Here's another log cabin sampler. And that might be it for that one. Oh no, there's more. Sugar Plum Elegance section. So lots of purples. If you're into purple. We have some nutcrackers and a stocking angel. Fancy gingerbread kind of house. Victorian, I guess. And a gingerbread box top. So anyway, something to check out if you're interested, especially in this one, the Barbara Ann design. I might just do the ornament part here. I think that's cute. And it's also looks very Scandinavian to me. Okay. Have you all seen the previews of the Little House Farmhouse Christmas series that's coming out in January? Love it. I have never joined a club before because I want to see what I'm getting when I spend my money. But I saw the Farmhouse Christmas and knew that I needed to do them. And so on Facebook this morning, Crazy Annie's came out with a auto ship option, so I signed up for that. I also got on 123 Stitch and placed another order for fabric. I'm going to do these individually as ornaments. I'm not going to stitch it as a big project. Apparently the fabric that it was originally stitched on is no longer widely available. I forget what it was. Anyway, I forget what it was. But it was stitched on a 30 count raw linen from some company who I forget. 123 Stitch had the 35 count on clearance. So I ordered it. I usually don't stitch on the called for fabric. I usually try to get the flosses collected, and then I do a floss toss on whatever fabric I have in my stash. So I was going to do that, but I really liked the look of the preview ornaments, and so I decided to order the whatever fabric it was that was called for. I did the math, and the 35 count actually works out better for me. 30 count, the ornaments are going to be like 4¼ inches, I think. And then by the time you add on margins for finishing, they were going to be larger ornaments